What's up, world? Welcome to the Water Pod, man. We're back with another installment, man. It's another beautiful Wednesday when I have my guests in here. I always say I'm excited, but I'm always excited, man. I love having my people come through and just bless us with some gems and some knowledge. Tonight's guest, man, like always believed in my talents, so that's what I really appreciate about this dude, man. He had me on some of his early tapes of local talent, and he's always been somebody that's just wanted to lift people up that are talented, and anybody that knows him can attest to that. So I'm very appreciative to have him in the studio. I'm glad that he came by, gave me an hour or two of his time, man. I hope we didn't waste a good conversation before the pod, because as soon as he got here, we just like, yeah. We gotta, that's how it always is when I see this dude, man. We just have deep, intellectual, sometimes not intellectual conversations about everything. So without further ado, man, it's my homie. You've seen him. You probably seen the stickers with his ugly mug all over town. Right. Sunfire Films, bro. Yes, sir. What's good, baby?
What's going on, brother?
Thank you so much for coming through, man.
I appreciate you.
For those of y'all that don't know, man, this is Sunfire, bro. He started out, I believe you went down to Orlando and did the thing, and did some DJing. He's done videography work, photography. You probably seen your girl twerk to one of his sets back in the day. We ain't gonna get into all that, but great dude, man. I hope that if you don't know him, you'll get to know him better. So yeah, man. How was Orlando back in the day? Because I know you've told me about that. How did you like Orlando?
Orlando, man, I love it, man. Till this day, I moved around a little bit, of course. Grew up here and everything. But Orlando is my favorite place in the world, man. I moved down there right after high school, graduated, and then I went to Full Sail. For the people who don't know, Full Sail was like a technical school. It's a bigger school now. I think they consider it like a university now.
Yeah.
But fresh out of South Carolina, growing up in Charleston, never really been anywhere else in my life before. Going down there, it was beautiful because I got to meet so many different people from different places. I fell in love with hip hop in Orlando. A lot of people don't know that the hip hop scene is super huge in Orlando, man.
Definitely.
Definitely real hip hop, the breaking and the tagging, and the used to have a lot of freestyle battles and stuff like that. I moved down there. I met a lot of great people who I went to school with, and people just around the area where I live, friendships that I'll have forever, man. So you go down there, and then it was a beautiful thing to see all the you got beautiful women everywhere, but there's so many different types of women down there, man. You got of course, black, white, Asian. Then you got a lot of people down there who from the islands, so you got all the Bohemian women, and then you got a lot of the Latin community down there, so there's Puerto Rican girls everywhere, man.
Oh,
so
yeah. Well, Florida's only 50 miles from the Bahamas, only a few miles from Cuba, so it all comes in. I'm glad you mentioned Full Sail, because I've been trying to get my nephew to go to I was like, bro, you should check out Full Sail, man, because he raps, he makes beats, and I'm just bro, that'd be, you would have a good time to go down there. Orlando's a dope place.
Yeah,
you could network with other people, because I feel I mentioned this on the pod with my boy, but I feel sometimes you feel you're the only one that feels the way you feel. And it's not. It's that you're the only one that feels the way you feel where you're at
in your circle.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's especially Charleston. I love Charleston. I grew up in Charleston.
Yeah.
I've always been a Charleston boy. You know what I mean. And I love that Charleston. You can get all the vibes. You can go to the beach. You can go to the bonfire in the country.
Yeah.
You can go to. You can go to the block party in North Charleston. You know what I mean? Every vibe is available to you, but it is a small demographic.
Yeah.
And it is you definitely can feel alone in Charleston.
Yeah.
If you feel if you like a certain thing, and like that thing is not what Charleston's about at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, like very hip hop, breaking, tagging, like my nephew's like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's real into super hip hop culture, like not rap culture, hip hop culture. You know what I mean? Like the breaking, the tagging, the ciphers, the freestyling, the boom bap beats. Like he's into all that stuff, and I'm like, you feel like you're alone, but bro, if you go to like Full Sail, if you go to Virginia or New York, or if you go to a different area that's really about that, then you might feel a little differently. You know what I'm saying?
It's really like it's more like big city, major city though. Like I feel like Charleston, like we spoke about this earlier, like Charleston's super small. So like there are people who feel like the way that you feel and like the things that you like to do, but the city's so small that like you might not run into these people all the time. And when you live in a major city, there's so many different types of people, and then there's so much more going on where you could gravitate towards these people, and it would be easier to get in contact with these people.
Yeah.
And like also, man, like I'm a big Orlando Magic fan, man. Like I'm probably one of the only Orlando Magic fans in the city of Charleston, in the state of South Carolina, man. Like I still go down there. I go down there every, couple months, and, I definitely go to like a couple games per year. And then also the thing I loved about Orlando was like it was so close to so many different places.
Yeah.
Like Tampa, hour and a half, 2 hours away. Daytona was like an hour away. We could jump in the car and go to Miami, and it would only take like 4 hours. So like
that's nice. It's like 8 from here or something.
Yeah, 8-9 hours. So like any given day, man, we could be like, yo, you want to go to Miami? Come on, let's go. Like that's what I loved about Orlando. I loved Orlando for so many different reasons, but like it was definitely like a special, wonderful time in my life that like I'm glad I experienced.
You got to experience, yeah.
And I like going there and then experiencing a bigger city because there's so much more going on, so much more to experience that I would have never seen living in Charleston.
Yeah. That's why I've always wanted to, my wife and I, we had kids young, and we built, I don't ever like to like be like, I wish I would have did this, wish I would have did that, because like I did what I did, and like I'm done wishing, bro. I'm gonna start like I'm gonna take that approach now. Like if I want to do something, I'm gonna go do it now, because I don't want to look back ever and be like, I wish I would have, wish I would have. I don't like that I wish mentality.
Yeah.
But I wish. Back in the day, like I always wanted to move to Atlanta. Like I'm always been attracted to Atlanta. My family's from Augusta. Like grew up Braves, Bulldogs, Falcons fan. You know what I mean? Yeah. The only thing that's different, I think I've said this on the pod, but guess what? We're gonna say it again. But the only thing that's different is basketball. So I've always been a Miami Heat fan since like Harold Miner, Glenn Rice, Alonzo Mourning, like way back. It's dope that you like Orlando, because I've always pulled for Orlando basketball too, because my brother always liked Orlando. I don't know why. Like that's like the team he picked, because our family was like football, baseball. Like nobody in our family liked basketball. I was the only one that liked basketball, and my brother by proxy started liking basketball because I was heavily into it. But I'm also the only person in my family other, like my mom's dad was like 6 foot.
Okay.
Other than that, when you see family pictures, I look like I don't even belong, dude. I'm 6'2", dreads. Everybody else is 5'9" and under, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Besides my son. My son now, he's about my height now, but
he's gonna be big.
Yeah. But my brother always liked Orlando, and so like I always like to pull for them as well. And I remember back in like it's probably like 2010s when y'all had like Jameer Nelson, and y'all had a little run there, you know what I mean? Where it was like, oh shit, they might do something this year, and
we went to the finals in 2009, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to let you know, because a lot of people try to play us, man.
No, y'all had the team for like 3 or 4 years, and y'all went to the finals that one year, but it's just Lakers. I mean, what you gonna do, man? It's the Lakers, bro.
But I always have that conversation with people, man. It's like they try to like discredit us a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, y'all ain't been good since the '90s. Y'all ain't been good since Shaq and Penny." And I'm like, "Yo, we went to the finals of 2009. Like, do you not remember?"
I don't see how they don't.
Like Dwight
who
Howard
was the boy? The boy that had the tattoos down his. I mean, they all got tattoos. Rashad Lewis
shooting them threes,
bro. That dude. There was like a 3-year stretch where that dude was untouchable.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like I love watching him play, and like I said, Jameer Nelson.
Yeah, we had Hedo Turgaloo. Yeah, Dwight
like,
Howard and them boys,
bro.
Man.
Y'all had the squad, dude.
Back then, man.
Yeah.
Like the only other team in the East that was like competition was like the Celtics, and then you had like the Cavs back when LeBron was first on that team. But like people forget about that Dwight Howard era, man.
Oh
like,
man,
Dwight was a monster, man.
Yeah, he was ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
That dude was just a freak.
Yeah, he was, man. I was saying something to somebody recently, man. Like we haven't seen like a traditional big man since Dwight Howard. Like now they're shooting threes. They handling the ball, but like just a dude who was big. He used to bang. He used to post up. You know what I'm saying? He would block shots. You know what I'm saying? We have not seen a big dude since Dwight Howard. Who does
yeah, I'll agree with that. But I feel like Dwight was like a hybrid. So like he was like you said, the last like powerful, dominant big man, but
Right.
he was one of the first big men that like could kind of take you off the dribble. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had more to his game than a traditional big man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had like the kind of dribbling skills and the speed.
Yeah.
And like that, it's like evolutionary. You know what I mean? You had the big dominant big man, and then you had Dwight came along and he was dominant, but he had a little bit of, he could do some other things. And then after Dwight, like you said, it turned into like everybody wants to be a point guard. Like I would tell, like my son, bro, like he plays varsity ball, and I watch all these kids play, and none of them. I haven't seen there's only like one big man in all the leagues, and the only reason that he's even a big man is because this kid is 6'11", 320 pounds. Like he has no choice but to be a big man. You know what I mean?
Right.
All these other kids that are like 6'5", 6'6", they're like, I want to dribble and shoot threes. You know what I mean? Like they're like, I want to be. I guess because, like you said, like Dwight was the last guy that actually had other big men to look up to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After him, it was like everybody was like, I'm 6'11", I want to be Kevin Durant. I'm 6'10", I want to be LeBron. I'm 6'5", I want to be this guy or that guy. If I'm 6'3", I want to be Curry. Like nobody's like, I want to, like they don't have that guy to be like, I want to be like Shaq.
Yeah.
That's what Dwight had. You know what I'm saying? Dwight was like, I want to be like Shaq. I might not be quite as big as him, but I want to play like him. I want to play like dominant in your face, just rip the rim down. Like I miss that shit.
Yeah,
I miss that shit so much,
man.
bro.
The game has changed so much.
Yeah,
man,
for sure. But I don't know. I'm a Heat fan. My Heat lost last night, bro.
So are y'all out?
No, I mean, we might as well be, bro. Like, what are we gonna do? Win and go play Milwaukee for 7 games? We will probably get swept.
So if y'all won, then
we play Boston.
Y'all would have been the 7th seed.
Right. If we would have won,
that whole playing and all that stuff is kind of weird to me. I'm still trying to figure it out.
So what happens is like the 8th and 9th seed play for the 8th spot. Or the 7th and 8th seed. Is that what it is? No. Okay, I got you. It's the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th seeds.
Okay.
All play. So we got to play. Both of us play for. Or is it? You're right. It's confusing.
It's very
But
confusing.
either way, we play. If we would have won last night, we would have played Boston.
Okay.
We would have became the 7th seed.
7th seed.
And played Boston. Since we lost, the Hawks are going to play Boston at the 7th seed. But we get to play against the loser out of the other game to try to play Milwaukee. So we get one more game.
Okay.
And if we win that game, then we'll be the 8th seed instead of the 7th. 7th goes to 2, which is Boston. The 8th goes to 1, which is Milwaukee.
Okay.
Either way, we got to play Milwaukee or Boston. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't think the Heat got. We might could beat them a game or two, but
Yeah.
I don't think we get in a 7 game. First of all, now we got to play Milwaukee. Like, who's going to guard Antetokounmpo on the Heat?
Yeah.
Who's going? I mean, nobody in the league can guard him, but the Heat,
Yeah.
especially. Like, we don't. I mean, we got Adebayo or whatever. Like, he
Yeah.
probably do decent, but I'm just like, bro. Like, I would have rather played Boston. Honestly, you know what I mean. Like, Boston's got. They're a good team. They're a complete team, but I think the Heat match up with Boston better than they do Milwaukee. Like, Milwaukee's gonna be tough, but I didn't know we was gonna have a basketball pod, bro. But I like it. I like it. Why not?
I'm just happy to be here.
Hey, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with me.
Right,
I appreciate that.
It's gonna be the Lakers in Milwaukee.
Ooh, Lakers in Milwaukee.
Lakers in Milwaukee.
I don't know, bro. Lakers barely got past the Timberwolves last night without Rudy Gobert because he wants to punch his teammates. But yeah, man. So have you always just kind of been in the you know, because I said before you a videographer and everything like that. But so if you need videography work, please reach out to this dude, man. He's been doing it for a minute and he's tried and true. Like, if you need weddings, whatever, bar mitzvahs, video shoots, documentaries, anything you need, please holler at him. But I've also known you as, like, you know, you've been entrenched in the hip hop culture as an ex DJ and stuff like that. So have you always just been into music, or was that like something that your family passed down to you, or how what does music mean to you, and how did you get into the culture, and what inspired you to do all the things that you did?
Right. Music has been, I mean, even though I love filming, like, that was something that came later on in life, but music has always been like my first love. Like, I tell people that all the time. And like, I won't say that like I came from like a music background. I kind of sort of did. Like, I did like a lot of kids. Like, I was in strings, like in middle school I played the cello, and then I went on to high school, played the tuba. Like, my mom, she loved music. She always had like keyboards and piano. She tried to teach me how to like play the piano when I was a kid. I did a little bit, but I never like followed through with it. I was actually in like the youth choir in church. My mom was the youth choir director. My grandma, she played the organ in church. I got an uncle. He's like a big time like gospel singer. He did like a lot of great stuff. So I mean, it was there, but I don't like. I've always kind of had like a love and appreciation for music. So I mean, as a kid, you know, when I was younger, I mean, you know, it was stuff that my sister listened to, or stuff that like my friends listened to. So that was more R&B and hip hop. And then, you know, like, I grew up on, well, my sister, she listened to like the old school like Monica and Brandy, and she would play like TLC, and then she would play like Tevin Campbell and you know, all of that stuff, man. So that was kind of like on that end. And then like once I
that ugly mug that I talked about earlier.
Right. So as I started to like grow up a little bit, you know, I was down south kid. You know, we were listening to No Limit. We were listening to Pastor Troy. We were listening to Cash Money. We were listening to
dog. I listen to T.I. trunk music all day. I've been listening to that shit. I don't know why. Cause I listen to not trunk music, trap music.
Trap music.
Yeah, sorry. I'm about to plug Yellow Wolf. No, T.I. Trap music. Cause I was listening to that shit on sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it just reminded me of all the down south shit we listened to. But have you heard that song Active with Kevin Gates and T.I.?
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, you should check it out, but because if you like T.I. from like the 2000s when we was coming up and
like the Rubber
listening.
Band,
Rubber Band Man shit.
Okay.
Like he gets back in his bag on that song, bro, and I
Okay.
was like, damn, because like T.I. for a while got on to like I don't want to say conscious shit, but he got on to like a conscious kind of tip and was
Right.
like trying to do that type of thing, and I don't knock him for it. I love conscious. Like J. Cole is probably like, if you ask me, Wayne's probably my GOAT. Just because he's got so many, and a lot of people might not like that, but if you talking mixtapes and all that, like, but I'm a huge J. Cole fan. Like, J. Cole is my favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if I'm just talking bar for bar, then I'll probably go Wayne because he's just got crazy bars. But if you're talking, like, who's my favorite dude just to listen to is J. Cole.
Okay.
But, and... you know, I grew up like I'm a huge Nas fan, so I love Nas and shit like that. But what my original point with T.I. is like, you know, it's cool because he's always been kind of, he's not just a dope boy. Like he gives you good music and he always talks about struggles or his woman or this. So he is kind of in the conscious vein, but I like when people just go and do themselves instead of like, I felt like T.I. was forced into consciousness a little bit for a little while there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you don't have to force it, bro. Like, just give it to us how you've been giving it to us, where it's like you a street dude, but you can tell us other shit than the street.
Right.
But when you just like completely was like,
Switch.
I'm the smartest guy in the room, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't have to, like, let us decide, you know what I mean? I guess that's the main point is, and I feel like that goes with a lot of shit in life, is like, you don't have to convince me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, just give it to me straight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially with media and news and shit now, it's like, everybody wants to, like, twist or point you in a direction. It's like, bro, just give it to me straight. And let me decide. You know what I mean? But I guess like people a lot of times think you're like too I don't want to use the word stupid, but they don't think you can grasp what they're saying, so they dumb it down or they go up so you can't understand. I'm like, bro, just give it to me straight.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. We'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. So like I feel like people have to like pick and choose what they do. They have to pick and choose what they say, and it's just so many different things of more than just being like, I'm gonna say what I want to say and do what I want to do. So yeah, there's a whole like.
Well, you didn't like the Wayne
strategic-
comment, so who's your GOAT?
My GOAT. I'm gonna have to go with Jay-Z, man.
Okay.
Like, you know, body.
Hey, Jay is definitely the GOAT. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I see when we get into conversations like this, I wish people would understand that like there's the GOAT and then there's my GOAT, and people don't
We can't do that, man.
But that's just how I feel because like to me, that's just how I've always looked at it. It's like there has to be parameters for me, and it's like if you're talking about the most digestible artist of all time, hip hop. Drake.
I mean,
like, there's nobody, like, you could put Drake on in a room with anyone, and nobody's gonna be like, yo, change this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jay, you can't be in a room full of people who ain't ready to listen to Jay-Z and put on some Jay-Z. You can't be in a room full of...
That's not fair, though.
It's not, but that's how I look at the game. It's like, Jay is the ultimate GOAT if you're talking, like, consistency, longevity... body of work, money made, records sold. Like, he is the GOAT of hip hop. Like, you can't deny that shit.
Okay.
But for me, if you're gonna say like I guess like if you're saying just bars, Jay-Z doesn't have the bars that Wayne has or M has, but that doesn't mean that he's not a better rapper than them.
Right.
Doesn't mean that he's not like more affluent or. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but if you're talking about like, yo, I had to rewind that shit and figure out how many Jay-Z doesn't do that. Like, he has bars, 100%. He has entendres. He has shit that's like, you know what I mean? Like, trust me, I know every word to every Jay-Z song, so I would never hate.
There's different boxes you gotta check off.
That's how
like
I
how
feel.
you were saying, like, you know, like he's the full, like, for me, he's the full package of being like longevity. Like, you know, he's got the hits, he's got the storytelling, he's got the stuff that it might not be super like, let me rewind that because I didn't understand it, or let me rewind it because that was so hard. But like, he does have some stuff that you'd be like, yo, this man is lyrical.
Oh, 100%.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like the boxes have to get checked off, and that's who I put up in that spot. I mean, yeah, if you want to go bar for bar, punchline for punchline, then yeah, you could say that, you know, Wayne would come first. But then there's like battle rappers that come before most rappers that are famous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, that whole bar punchline stuff, it starts to get real tricky, because it's like, if you listen to battle rappers, Wayne ain't even on the same level as most of them. You know what I'm saying?
If that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ask me who's my absolute GOAT, it would be Immaculate. And it ain't for his battle. Like, if you listen to his music or his raising the bars or his battles, like, and most people ain't gonna know that. That's why I would never say that. I would never be like Immaculate. Yeah. But that's his pen game is untouchable. Like, period.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, you.
When did this whole shit happen? When there's more than one GOAT? Like, I'm seeing over the years that people are like, this is the GOAT of this category, this is the GOAT of that category. It's like, GOAT means greatest of all time. There should only be one. Like, people over the years have been like, oh, you are the GOAT of down south, and you're the GOAT of up north, and you're the GOAT of lyrics, and you're the GOAT of punch. No, like, pick one person, and whoever checks off the most boxes is the GOAT.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my all-time GOAT forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's the only rapper in my studio other than, you know, I got a painting that's a thing, but Tupac has always been my GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm saying, like, GOAT, like, we ain't talking about any boxes or anything. It's just, like, who inspired me the most and who like, I cried when they fucking died. Okay. That guy. And
that's
I was only...
favorite. That's not called GOAT. That's called favorite.
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel like the GOAT conversation is anyways. And that's what I was trying to say is, like, you know, like, my favorite rapper is J. Cole. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, 100% is my favorite rapper. Like, it's the only rapper that I listen to that I'm like, yo, this dude is like, if I could... You know what I mean? Like, I've never listened to a J record and been like, I wish I made that record. But I've listened to many Cole records and been like, yo, that shit. I have
to go listen to some more Jay-Z songs, man.
Me? I've listened to every Jay-Z song.
One of my favorite songs, and like how we were talking earlier about like me getting into music and hip-hop and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of all genres. But one of my favorite songs ever is Song Cry.
Yeah, that's a dope song.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, Song Cry makes you sit and think about so many different things, man. And, like, I love his storytelling. I'm loving how, like, he comes with the perspective of, like, saying stuff that, like, yeah, like, this happened to me. You know? Like,
my favorite Jay-Z song
gone
is...
bad, she's gone forever, I'm on forever. Like, man, like that.
Nah, my favorite Jay-Z song is I'm Feeling It.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one, but I mean...
No, that shit goes hard. What you talking about?
I mean, it goes hard, but I mean, I just feel like there's a lot of... I don't know.
Dude, he kills every line on that song, man.
He does. I don't know. Song Cry kind of hit me in a different way. Like,
I don't know, bro. I feel like you're right, though. You're right. I changed my shit too much. Because if you would asked me last week, Jay-Z would have been the GOAT. This week, Tupac. Next week, be somebody else. Does it really fucking matter? It's all opinions. That's what I'm saying.
It does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, at the end of the barbershop talk.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just your opinion, man. Like, I mean, Jay-Z, like, I'll say it like this. If anybody says Jay-Z's their GOAT, I don't ever be like, you're crazy.
Right.
I'm like, I could rock with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If somebody says Cole or Pac or Kendrick or M or, you know what I mean, Wayne, like, if there's, I guess that's what you were talking about, is like, when did there become more than one GOAT? So like to me, there's probably like 5 or 10 guys that you can say this is my GOAT, and I won't like give you that stale face and be like, really, dude, that's your GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but there's people outside of that box, but the guys I just named, you know what I'm saying? If you're talking Jay, Big, Pac, M, Cole, Kendrick, Wayne, like if you're talking any of those guys,
Yeah.
then I'm like, I'm cool with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm-
I could see, you can make an argument for any of those guys from your perspective or your
Yeah,
opinion. You know what I
I'm
mean?
cool with people saying whoever they feel like their goat is. I have a problem with people saying goats. Like there's multiple.
yeah.
Like, you know, like the goats. And like, no, man. Like pick one, and whoever you want to put in that spot, like I can respect that for the most part. But like once you say my goats are, and then you start naming people, like nah, man. Like
Yeah.
that conversation has to turn into like your top 5, or the conversation has to be like, who are some of the people that are your favorites. But like when you want to have the GOAT conversation, like I only need for you to say one person.
Right. That's hard, man.
I'm
That's
gonna go
hard
with Jay
because
every time, man. Like I've been saying Jay since I was probably my early 20s, man, and I'm never gonna change that.
So I'll probably say Cole then, if you want me to name one person. Because if you're talking like, who am I going to get in my car tomorrow and listen to? Who have I listened? Have you like? That would have to be my GOAT. Like if you look in if you could pull up all of my Apple Music plays, Cole would be way ahead of any other person. Besides, like I mean, I listen to acid country. So if we're just
wrong with
talking
that.
rap genre, then Cole would be the guy. You know what I mean? I listen to Pac. I pull up Jay. I listen to the other day. Honestly, like 2 weeks ago, I went through everything, and I was listening to The Gift and the Curse, and I was like, damn, man, I forgot about all these songs, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
A lot of
Because
people forget, man.
well, one of his dopest ones was off that what was it? The American Gangster. It
American
was a
Gangster.
soundtrack he did.
Yeah, American Gangster.
That whole shit goes hard.
Yeah.
But my favorite Jay shit back in the day was the Life is Times of Sean Carter, Volume 2.
Okay.
That was
okay.
one of my
That's the one that
favorites,
had-
bro. Like
That's when I fell in love
when
with
the
him. Timberland.
Timberland. Nah, when I fell in love with him was
That's when he had Annie on it, right? The Annie sample that's Volume 2.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's when I kind of got into him, because I had a homeboy. He was from New York, but his like grandma lived here, so he spent like some years down here going to school. Then he would go back up north, but he tried to put me on the J probably around maybe Reasonable Doubt, maybe it was Life of Sean Carter, Volume 1, and I was like, yo, what is this, man? Like I was still on that like down south shit. And then once the Annie started coming out, and then once he did the stuff with UGK and them boys, then I started gravitating towards him, and I've been in love with him ever since, man. Like,
Oh, that's dope. But I mean, I was on him from Reasonable Doubt because I like me. I'm from the South, but I always connected with Northern rappers because they rap like I rap. Like I wasn't about like melody and sound. I was like bars. Like let's rap. Let's story tell.
At
Let's
that
rap.
young
let's-
age?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
I mean, I was into poetry and shit like that. I mean, I was into Tupac, but Tupac's a storyteller. You know what I'm saying? And he's from New York.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He went Cali later, but Jay-Z, Nas, Dragon, Dipset, like that's all the shit I was listening to when I was a kid. And I was heavily influenced by the South too. Like, you know what I mean? Like I love all that stuff too, but Jay-Z, I always loved that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, but as a kid, man, just to backtrack a little bit, it was definitely like that 90s R&B. It was
I
definitely
like how
that,
you brought
like,
that shit back, dog. 'Cause we gonna go on some tangents, but
yeah,
that's
man,
what's
we're
up.
gonna be here for a while. But it was the 90s R&B. It was definitely that like 90s down south, because I was what I was on. And then as I got older, it started turning to like a little bit of up north, and then I moved to Orlando, and there's a lot of like up north New York dudes that live in Orlando. It's Florida all together. So like they put me on a lot of stuff, and then that was around the time like 50 first came out. That took over the world. I was big on that. But then even the think back about like maybe high school days, man. Like I was big on Eminem. I was big on DMX. I was big on
See,
Bone.
DMX don't get his flowers, bro. That dude
He
had
don't get it
the
enough.
biggest 3-album stretch in history.
Yeah, he dropped like 2 in 1 year.
Yeah.
That was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two
Fire.
like diamond albums.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you ever run into Caskey while you were down there? You know who that is?
Of course I know who Caskey is, man.
About to say.
I met Caskey, but it wasn't in Orlando. Like a couple years back, actually, Joey, me and him went down to Jacksonville, and he had a concert at a club venue, and he was out there. He talked to the people and took pictures and stuff like that. But that was after like Caskey had already kind of like did his run in Orlando, and then he moved out to I forget where he might have been in Cali at that time. But anyways, that's when I met Caskey. I was a big Caskey fan for a long time. He's been kind of disappointing me a little bit lately.
Yeah. Well, I think when he was down in Orlando, he was on this trajectory, and then Cash Money picked him up and tried to kind of change his direction, and he did for a little bit. And I don't know. I feel like now he's starting to come back into that Caskey that like kind of does what he wants to do, and it's starting to get. He's starting to gain his footing back, but I liked him a lot because actually you mentioned Full Sail. A couple of my homeboys went to Full Sail. My boy Eddie, my boy Derek, and my boy Steven, like out of high school, they all went down there. And Eddie Romack is his name. He ended up going to Full Sail, and he went there for video production, but he ended up getting a job doing pyrotechnics, and he toured with Beyonce and Jay-Z, Fall Out Boy, Wiz Khalifa, and that's what he still does now. I don't know who he's touring with now, but he does pyrotechnics, and like he got a job at Disney out of Full Sail, and then that landed him, and he was doing like lights and stuff for Disney, and then that got him into the whole thing. But he's the one, being that he was at Full Sail in Orlando and Caskey was popping. Y'all are probably down there together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all probably, if you've seen him, you might be like, oh, I remember him. You know what I mean? Because he's a South Carolina boy down there. Y'all probably partied together or did something together. But but he's the one who introduced me to Caskey when he was doing like the These Are Just Words. And too much information.
Yeah, you've been on it for a while.
Oh, bro, like since he was in Orlando, but way before he got signed, like he put me on to him, and that's why.
Was that the Transit?
Like, the Transit. Yeah, Transient classics or mixtapes or something.
I don't know. This is what I'll say about Caskey, man, because I've been a fan probably around that time. I think he's one of those artists that is trying to figure himself out, and he didn't know what direction he wanted to go in. And I think, like, I loved, like, I mean, the older stuff, like you were talking about, but, like, I really fell in love with him when he was putting out the Black Sheep 2, and then, you know what I'm saying, he was real, like, barred up, he was coming real hard, lyrical, but he was still real, like, Southern with it, and then he started putting out other stuff, and then I feel like he was trying to be real artsy, and he was trying to, like, do other stuff, which is cool, but, like, when you're trying to figure out who you are and then you're trying to grow at the same time, you're going to lose some fans because like you're trying to do too much, and a lot of the people that loved you for what you did are going to be like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, he got the dreads and all of that shit, and then he like wanted to paint skulls all the time, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, yo, what are you doing right now, man? And like, I try to, like, every couple months I'll go to his YouTube, I'll go to his Instagram and see what he's doing. But, like, I think that, like, he was super young. He even says when he got signed to Cash Money, he was kind of young. And he was
I think he's only, like, 20, 19. Yeah,
he was still trying to figure things out. So it's like, what lane do I want to go in? I don't know exactly what I want to do. And then it's like, I'm putting out these records and people love them, but, like, I still want to be creative and try other things, and then people like me are like, yo, like, I don't want to hear this shit. And it's like,
well, I think he was like, he was on the border of independent and industry,
right?
And that's a hard border to be on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when you can be independent, you can just do whatever you want. But whenever you're trying to be industry, it's like it's hard because you, like I said, you're teetering on a thin ass line where
Yeah.
it's like, am I doing me or am I doing what they want me to
Right.
be me? You know what I'm saying? And I think he got kind of caught up in that. And you know, I mentioned J. Cole. Like that's kind of what happened to him, but he luckily made it out of it because he got signed by Rock, and he was vocal about not liking the direction they were trying to take his image and his music. You know what I'm saying? And so he did a couple albums with them, and then he went and was like, all right, I did what they wanted me to do, and my fans stuck with me. I gained a bunch of new fans. Now I'm gonna do what I want to do. And Caskey really didn't get that. A lot of artists don't get that privilege. You know what I'm saying? Of like, I don't know if you call it a privilege, but that grace to be like, he got signed. Like once you get signed, if you don't put out some shit that's good to your old fans and your new fans, and it doesn't hit, then it's like J. Cole was lucky or blessed or talented enough to put out some shit that it was like, all right, even though I'm not like, I've been a fan of you before this shit, the you know what I mean, before you got signed, you still did justice to your old fans and you gained new fans. Now you can go back and you can, or not go back, but move forward with everybody. You know what I mean? And it's hard as an artist sometimes where you're stuck in the middle of like, do I just keep doing shit for my fan base and not grow? Or do I make shit for people to try to grow and then lose fans? And it's like, if you lose fans, you got to grow more. You know what I mean? It's like, I either got to put out some shit that's going to get me a lot more fans to deal with the fans I'm going to lose. And some artists don't get there. You know what I mean? They put out some shit and they lose just as many fans as they gained. And then they end up in a spot where it's like, damn, well, I did something that wasn't really me. And I lost my core following, but I gained this flippy floppy, heat of the moment following. You know what I mean? And you feel good at the time because you're like, oh, all these new people are like liking my shit. And then once them new people are like, you do something new again, and you lose the new people, and then you're like, nah, I ain't got nobody. You know what I mean? That shit's hard as an artist. Because me being an artist, I know that because sometimes you're like, yo, I gotta grow and I gotta try things, and you get some new fans, but you realize like them new fans ain't gonna ride with you like them old fans. You know what I'm saying? Like me and you sitting here talking about Caskey from the Transient tapes. You know what I mean? And like he's probably like, damn, I wish I could make shit that they like still because these motherfuckers been riding me for fucking 20 years. It seems like, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
I guess I'm still a fan, but like.
Yeah, he ain't done nothing to make you be like, yo, I'll never listen to that dude again. But he has. I'm with you on that shit.
I don't keep up. Like, you even ask Joey, man. Like, I was talking about Caskey all the time. Like, I was always, like, listening to his music in my
dope,
car.
Bro. He was,
you know?
He was dope.
One of the biggest Caskey fans that, like, especially, like, Charleston, South Carolina, a lot of people, I mean, you know, he's getting more fans as, like, time goes on. But, like, a lot of people still don't know who he is. So, like, I would mention him. People like, Cassidy? I'm like, no, Caskey.
Yo, he had a moment in the sun,
you
too,
know?
bro.
So, like, I was the dude who was always, like, champion him. Like, check him out. Go to his YouTube. Do this, do that. And then, like, slowly, I'm like, man, like, I'm a check in on you. But, like, I can't really, nah, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still check on him.
Yeah, you still fuck with him.
Yeah, I still listen to like the Black Sheep album right now, but like a lot of stuff that he's doing now, I'm like, it ain't for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I feel like we talked about fucking music a lot, which I love because that's all I like to talk about usually, man. But I don't think you know, I've known you and we talk about shit behind the scenes, but how's fatherhood been treating you, bro? Because that's something, you know what I mean? Like, I like to ask people that I know are fathers because it's like, I'm a father and I know that should be a struggle sometimes. So how's it been for you though, man? You've been loving it. What's the struggles and what's the blessings that you've had behind that? You know what I mean?
I love my daughter to death, man. And then like as cliche as it may sound, she's like one of the best things that ever happened to me. You know,
Dang.
her, my
Yeah,
wife, you
cliches
know.
normally real.
Yeah, it's super cliche, but it's the truth, you know, and I've always been a motivated person. I've always been like a person who, you know, strive for things in life, but like having her just put the battery in my back, man. Like I tell people all the time, man, like the day that she was born was the day that I'm like, I gotta try. And then my grandmother, she was super important to me. She passed away like 2 years ago. I was like, and the day my grandmother passed away was the day that I told myself I'll never give up. You know, so those two moments were like super important to me. But anyways, like just being a father, man, it makes you realize how important family is. Like when you're younger, you're a kid, you want to hang out with your friends, you don't really appreciate those moments of like sitting down with your family eating dinner, and you don't you don't appreciate those moments of being like, I'm at my grandma's house and she ain't doing nothing but watching Gilligan's Island and I'm sitting there with her, or just those moments of like you being an adolescent and you want to do your own thing. Now that I have my own child, man, I appreciate like family time. Like I was like, I'm pretty cool with my family, but like I was the guy who was like, Thanksgiving dinner, oh y'all see me whenever I get there.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
yeah.
Christmas, y'all see me when I get there. Like those things didn't matter to me as much, but now I got my own daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? I always want to like have these moments, and then I want to remember to like, I'm living a life of trying to like build my business, build my brand, you know, learn all the things that I'm doing. But like I gotta always remember to be like, man, I gotta spend time with her, or like I gotta take her to the park, or I gotta do all these things just so she'll have those moments. I want to teach her so many things. To my grandmother taught me so many wonderful things. My mom taught me so many wonderful things. I want to instill a lot of things in my daughter to be like, yo, like daddy taught me this. So those things push me, and they make me want to be better, and they make me want to think about things a little bit more. Like I never was the wild crazy dude, but like I was a guy who, you know, I didn't really care about things as much as I do now.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, man, that like one of my greatest joys, I don't care if I did one thing today or if I did a million, like getting home safely to my family is number one on my list, man.
Oh, word.
You know?
100%,
Yeah.
100%, dog. I feel like what one thing that you said that kind of brought up a thought in my head that I think a lot is like, for instance, if you talk to your mom or your parents or anybody like that, and you mention something that seems super insignificant to them, like from your childhood, you might be like, man, mom, you remember that time you left me in the car and you went inside and it took you like 30 minutes to get back out, and like to her it was like nothing,
Right.
but you remember that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think about that a lot of times with my daughter or my son or my kids in general. It's like something to me that might seem insignificant. You know what I mean? My daughter might be like, hey, will you play war with me with these cards, or will you play this board game? And I'm like, I don't feel like that. That's your brother. You know what I mean? Like to me it's insignificant. It's just like another part of the day. I was just like, I was tired or from work or doing this or doing that. But to her, like in 20 years she might be like, well, you never wanted to play cards with me. I'm like, you only fucking asked me one time. And she was like, yeah, and you said no. And so I never asked you again because you were like being mad about it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel you on that front for sure. And definitely because I have a son and a daughter. So, you know, like being the dad of a daughter is like so crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I don't have to tell you, but it's just like us as men now, but being boys and growing up and like the way that not that maybe you didn't or I didn't treat women bad, but just men in general treat women poorly or take advantage of women or use women or all the stuff Tupac rapped about. You know what I mean? It's like now I've got a daughter that's in this world that's got to deal with like I might have some homeboys that I look at the way they treat their women, or I might have some acquaintances that I look at the way they treat their daughters or their mothers or just women in general, and I'm just like, bro, like that's what I gotta be the man.
Yeah.
I gotta be the man that my daughter looks to and goes, if you ain't as good as my dad, then you ain't good enough for me, bro. You know what I mean? So I gotta be that type of father. That's how I look at it anyways. I'm like, I'm showing her what I'm trying. Deserves. I mean, I'm showing her what she deserves. If she chooses to find a husband, then I hope that I've done a good enough job to show her that like this is what a husband would be. That, you know what I mean? Like if your husband won't get out the fucking car and pump your gas, you know what I mean? Won't cook dinner when you ain't feeling like cooking dinner, or won't play some cards with you when you ask him to play some cards, or won't cancel that poker night with the boys to go on a date with you, like then what is it? It's not, that's not your husband, bro. That's a friend. That's not even a confidant. That's an acquaintance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
you feel like that sometimes, like you got to live up to, you got to be that what is it, example for her?
Yeah, I feel like that, man. And I also feel like, especially with like being a father and having a daughter in that situation, but just in life in general, man, like I feel like once you grow up, you're supposed to think differently and move differently and want to live a different life. Like, not to go too much off a topic, but like that's just like, you know, when you were talking about like when we were younger, we might have cheated on girls, or we might have didn't care to respect them the right way. That could be in the same way of like when you're young and you don't care about drinking and driving. You know what I'm saying? Like, and as you get older, you realize like, yo, that shit's stupid. You can hurt somebody. You can ruin somebody's life. Like, you should want to do better, and you're supposed to look at things differently. So, you know, like I always try to like show my daughter a lot of love. And then, you know, even though like if me and her mom aren't always getting along, you know, like I try not to like, I mean, we're gonna yell and argue sometimes, you know, like that, but like I know that she's watching, and you know,
have a little respect and dignity about it.
Yeah. So, but also like when you were talking about the whole stress thing, man, like it's super hard, like, you know, raising a child. You got two, I only got one. And then, you know, like I'm still like in the phases of my life where I'm trying to figure so many things out, where it's like I gotta film, I gotta edit, I gotta learn that business, but then I also gotta have time for my wife. I gotta also have time for my daughter, and she wanna run around, and she wanna do this, and she wanna do that, and it's like we get stressed out, man. Like life is super hard sometimes, man. And even though like a lot of situations that my mother and father might have did when I was younger, now that I have my own child, I understand some stuff that they might have been doing or going through. Like, you know, like you might not want to play with your child at that moment, or you might not, you know, might want to do certain things, or you might have yelled at them. And it's not because of what they did, it's because you stressed out, or bills might be piling up, or you might hate your job, or you might just have had a rough day and you took it out on your kid, man. And like a lot of times, man, I'll look at her and I might yell or snap, and I'll be like, damn, man, like I gotta go tell her sorry. I gotta go give her a hug and be like, man, daddy didn't mean to yell at you. But it's like, I don't want to go too off on a tangent, man, but like life is super hard, and I feel like so many people, like the way life is like we're dealing with our own shit. A lot of us never even heal from our childhood, and then we bring a child into this world, so now we dealing with the shit that we still holding on, all our pain and trauma, and we got a kid, we got to get up and go to work. A lot of us hate our job, and all those things are like you dealing with that shit every day. And then your kid a lot of times is just getting a lot of your stress.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I don't think a lot of people realize that like kids, when whatever's happening at home is their reality. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's that's their world. You know what I mean? So whatever you're portraying to them, they're gonna take that in like as that's how the world
How
works.
life is, yeah.
And until like especially like people like say me, like I've been through some traumas and I've had some bad shit happen, like until I got out into the world and realized that like not all people operate this way, not everybody's life happens like this, then I can like that's where the trauma occurs, is because you look back and you're like, well damn, like this like I wasn't treated the way this, you know what I mean? If you go
Yeah.
to your friend's house and his mom is like, you know what I mean, like making peanut butter sandwiches, cutting them in half, writing the note on the thing and sending them
Yeah.
to school. His dad's there, like picket fence out front. And not that that's a perfect life, but you don't realize that shit's different until you see the
See
difference.
something different,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So like that's a big thing I try to with my kids is like I don't want your reality to be shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I really want you to feel like loved, protected, feel like you could chase your dreams. Like I don't ever want to feel like you're restricted in the sense of like your creativity and your dreams and your ambition. Like I don't want to restrict none of that.
Yeah.
And I want you to feel like it's safe and in a place of comfort. Like I don't ever want you to feel like I want to get the hell away from home, because I know a lot of kids, me included, at times felt like, man, I just don't even want to go home. I
Yeah.
just don't even want to be around
Yeah,
this or that.
definitely.
You know what I mean? And like I don't ever want my kids to feel that way. So
Yeah.
what are your dreams for videography? You know what I'm saying? I know that we touched on a little bit that you're a videographer. Like, what's your vision, man? Like, I mean, is that something that I know that it might not have been your first thought of what you wanted to do with your life, but you've been pursuing it and chasing it, and you've evolved like so much throughout the years. So, what's your visions for that? Do you want to get more into the film side, or you know what I mean, or are you just
Yeah.
trying to continue doing the way you're doing it? What's your goals? I don't need
Right.
to like elaborate. You
Right.
tell me.
I always say there's small goals and there's big goals, man. And you know, like as you come in, no matter whatever you're doing, you gotta learn and you gotta make the mistakes and you gotta figure shit out. And especially when you're trying to build something, I mean, you can be picky, but a lot of times you probably shouldn't be or don't want to be. So that's what I did. Jumped in, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I'm like, I'm gonna film a band, I'm gonna film sporting events, I'm gonna film weddings, I'm gonna film this and that. And then as you do it and you learn and you start to figure things out and you figure out what you really enjoy, then you're like, okay, this is what I really want to gravitate towards, man. So like as far as like doing things that I'm doing now that I want to continue doing is, I always say, weddings, corporate events, bigger projects, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. More things that's like the money's not coming out of your pocket, the money's coming out of the company's pocket because they have the budget, they have the money for that. So those are the things that I want to continue doing on that end. But just like big goals as far as like what I'm going to be doing 10, 15, 20 years down the line, man, like I want to do or will do documentaries, and I will do like TV shows, but I don't want to do like scripted TV shows. Like I want to do stuff that's more like reality based, not a reality show, but a real things going on.
Yeah,
And
like-
then you know, and let the company grow, let the company get bigger, you know, like that, and it would just be. I'm gonna always do the stuff like the weddings and all of that stuff because I enjoy doing them and it's great money. But like the big goals are always like grow the business, you know what I'm saying? Do the documentaries, do TV shows, and I want to have some sort of, I don't want to say network, but something like quote unquote a Netflix or something like that. It's my shit. Like, you know, if you want to watch something or if you want to see this TV show or see this documentary, like you go to that site or you go to that app or whatever, and it's mine. Like you're not watching it on Netflix.
Yeah,
you're not watching
yeah.
that shit on YouTube. Like you have to go to my shit to see it.
Yeah,
You know,
that's always the ultimate goal,
Yeah,
bro.
you know,
Is like
like-
have some shit that's mine.
Yeah,
man.
it's mine.
Yeah, yeah.
I own shit, you know, and then that's definitely in the works, man. But a lot of stuff that I do, you know, takes time, you know. You gotta figure shit out. You gotta have the funds for it. But like everything that I'm doing is it's in the works.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. Well, I like that you're talking on like, because, you know, I mentioned a little bit earlier about you always believing in me, and like you used to have the word on the streets documentaries and highlight local talent and stuff like that, which I've been featured on, and I think it's real dope that because there's different types and there's genres in each field of everything, you know what I mean? And in videography, I think a lot of people, like, when you say videographer, they're like, okay, well, you shoot music videos or you shoot this or you shoot that. It's like, I like that you have really put yourself into that realm of like, because, all right, so I'll give this example. Like, my wife is very, she loves taking pictures, but pictures have to be perfect. She's a perfect picture kind of person.
Yeah.
And me and her, I'm the opposite on that spectrum. I'm a candid picture person. You know what I'm saying? Like
moment.
I like moments. I like for a picture to capture the moment and give the vibe of the moment, not be like, let's create a moment or let's create like a perfect picture where like everybody's standing in the proper place, everybody's hair is right, everybody's things right. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for that too. You know what I mean? Like when my wife takes a picture, like that shit's gonna be pristine. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's things, like it's gonna be perfect. But me, I like a picture that's like maybe you weren't looking at the camera, or you were looking at, and like I feel like that's kind of how you go about videography. Is like, I want to. That's why you love weddings so much, because you probably look at, or I don't want to say, I didn't mean to say you love weddings so much, but you like filming weddings or doing documentaries or corporate events because, or live performances and shit like that, because you like to see and pick out those candid moments that the other people aren't, like they're not seeing because they're in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get to be that fly on the wall in a lot of these situations where it's like, yo, if somebody right there, right now was shooting this angle, they would see the way he's looking at her, or they would see the way the boss man came into the corporate event, and like, you know what I mean? They would like, you get to show the picture. You get to make the perfect picture instead of, you know what I mean? So I think that's real dope, that like the way that you've just kind of latched on to that vibe of like, let's figure out how to portray the candid, and let's figure out how to way to like take these moments and bring them to the forefront where it's not just a memory, it's a video. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's what the way I look at your, like, what before this pod, I went and I was like, man, let me check out the word on the street. I haven't watched this shit so long, man. It's been like
7, 8 years.
7, 8 years ago when we shot that, and I watched it and I was just like, bro, like, you just have a way of like bringing people into that moment and that vibe, you know what I mean? Like because when you hit me up, you're like, yo, we're somewhere, like, you used to hang out a lot when you were a kid, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, I used to play ball at the park all the time. So like, we got in the car and we drove to the park, and like the video, you can feel it in the video, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people don't know how to bring that out of the subjects or the moment. So you know what I mean? That's real dope about you. Is that something you had to work on, or that's just something you've always just kind of been that guy that's kind of observant and been like, let me figure out how I can pick parts of this and bring it to the light?
Back then, when we did that, Man, I was super green, man. Cause like I wouldn't even say green because like that wasn't even in my vision of what I wanted to do with my life. You know, like I was doing mixtapes and then I gravitated towards DVDs just to kind of give a visual of like some of the artists that I was doing mixtapes with, and then that kind of gravitated more towards me doing like stuff with you, and then kind of just like telling the people's story a little bit more. But like I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I just kind of was like, I want to tell somebody's story. I want to get pieces of like something that's super important to them, like an important street, a little bit of piece of your childhood, something that is nostalgic to you, something that you remember. So I guess it might have been in me because back then, like I look like we was talking off camera. I look back at that and I cringe, man. Like I look back at stuff like that and I was like, I had no skills back then. I didn't know what I was doing, and you know I still got a lot to learn now. But like now I'm a videographer. Now I'm a guy who really does film. Back then, I was just picking up the camera and just being like, I know so many cool, dope people who have talent and I want to film some shit and I want to put something together. So even like how you were talking about like goals and stuff like that, a lot of, like I was saying, documentaries and things like that, I want to bring some of those elements back of like the stuff that I did with music years ago, but now I can put it in a more professional way. Like I know a little bit more about I know a little bit more about like lighting. I know about like multiple cameras. I know about like letting me put this story together to be like, use this angle, use that angle. Like, you know, so now I have more of the knowledge to be like, okay, like I could really do this shit now for real. So I've always been a person who wanted to know people's story. Like even when I was young, I would watch like the VH1
Pop-up video?
No, like the show like
Oh, behind the music.
man. Like I've always been interested.
Well, I like the pop-up video too, though.
Yeah.
Just pop the little facts up. Yeah. I know what you mean, though.
Right. The VH1, just like getting to know people's story, where they came from, how they grew up, the struggles that they had to go through to get to where they finally got to being successful. Like, I've always loved that. I've always enjoyed that. And I've also always wanted to be a person who promoted people, helped people, try to put them on a platform to be like, I may not be the biggest or most famous person, but I want to portray your story, portray your talents in a way that I'm be like, yo, let's put something together and I want to help you as much as I can. So I guess I've always had a little bit of that storytelling in me, but now I'm starting to like figure out like how to do it and make it look right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. I'm glad that you stuck with it because even when it was in its infancy, I always saw the passion you had for the story behind everything. You know what I mean? And so like that's why I started this podcast, and that's why I want to have you on, because you've always been a dude that's like that's done the same for me. So obviously I want to do the same for you. But I always say this podcast goes like in so many different directions, you know what I mean? And that's what I want. Like that's what I ultimately want, is that people to come on and vibe and feel like they could just talk how they want to talk and be themselves. But at the end of the day, I want people to grow from it. I want people to learn from it. I want people to get to know you. And like I said, like you've always been that dude that's like tried to champion others and build them up. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like if anybody else, like back then, you know what I mean? Like when you were doing those word on the streets, like there were people doing what you were doing, but they were trying to charge people to do this or do that, and like and there's nothing wrong with that. Like monetize, make your money, but I feel like whenever you can help somebody and they can help you back, like that should be enough sometimes. So I'm greatly appreciative of it, and like I know that like it's crazy because I watched that that Word on the Street documentary, and I think Emily Curtis was on
Yeah.
that same episode with me, and like,
Yeah.
and I see her like still doing her
She's
thing. You know
awesome,
what I
man.
mean? And yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, put me in contact with her. I'd love to
Yeah.
have her on the pod. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's an awesome artist, and but like I said, like everybody is grown so much since. I would like to have like a reunion of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's so
Yeah.
dope that like you put on people that I still love and respect, and like, and we're still seeing each other in these types of formats. So that's always dope to see, man. And
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I feel like we went on like a lot of tangents, but that's what we do, bro. Like every
Yeah.
time I get around you, man, like it's such introspective talk and like goals and dream based, and
Yeah.
like I love being around shit like that, bro. Like that's what really like propels me in life. You know what I mean? And that's why I had to have this pod, because I enjoy talking a lot. You know, my wife would say differently. She's like, you never want to talk, whatever. You know what I mean? But I do like to talk, but it's like I just like to talk about things that
You love.
yeah, like crazy things that I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you wanna plug? How can they get in contact with you? You know what I mean? I'll have his logo on this pod, and I'll tag him in these pods, so you can definitely reach out that way. But do you want them to email you, reach out, messenger? Like, what's the best way to get in contact with you if they want to book you for a wedding, corporate event, if you want to do a documentary, if you want to just whatever, bro. Like he's a jack of all trades when it comes to the videography thing, man. If you got an idea, pitch it to him, man. I'm sure he can. And he's humble enough that if he doesn't feel like it's in his wheelhouse, then he can point you to who it is. And you know what I mean. Same with me. Like if you hit me with something and I feel like I can't do it justice, then I'll let you know I can't do it justice.
Yeah.
But for the most part, anything videography related, this dude's got you for sure. So how can they get in contact with you?
Now that I'm trying to be more business minded, man, like I always want to tell people, go to my website. I recently put that up. It's www.booksunfirefilms.com. You know, I got a lot of information on there. I got some of my video work there, you know. So you can check that out. I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. My real name is Andrew Conyers. You can find me on there. You'll see my cartoon logo, man. Instagram, I'm always on Instagram as well. That's Sunfire Films with the number 1. And yeah, man, that's about it.
Yeah, well, like you said, I'll tag all of those. I'll put his website. You know, I built it up in the week before. Well, I don't even have to say that, because when you watch this, that should be too late. But after you watch this, click on all the links that are in this post, and you know, I'll have all those tags in there for you. If for some reason you can't get in contact with them, reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with them very simply and very easily. Like I always like to say, man, on this podcast, first of all, thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate
Thank you so
man.
much, man. I appreciate you so much, man. I hold him in high esteem, bro. Like I said, every time we get together, dude, it's just like I run out of spit half the time, because we just talk and bounce ideas and da 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 da. It's just like nonstop, bro. And you seen earlier in the pod, we don't even agree on everything. Like that's the type of people you need to have around you. So like if I could end this pod with one good point, if everyone in your circle agrees with you, you need a new circle. You know what I'm saying? You need people that can challenge your ideas, that can make you think. If you just got a bunch of yes men around you, whether you're in videography, rap, podcasting, country, whatever field you're in, if you have nothing but yes men around you, I promise you're not going to go very far. You need people to sharpen the iron. Iron sharpens iron. You need people to cultivate your growth. And I'm not saying you need haters in your, you know, you don't want people that are just all contrarians either. You know what I mean? You need a balance. You need people that support you, and people that just challenge your beliefs and your views sometimes to help you sharpen your sword and your knife. So like I always like to say, man, every pod, think harder, work smarter. If you want it to grow, just add water. Waterboy, Sunfire Films, this the Water Pod. Peace.
Yo, respect my conglomerate. We do it far from moderate. The embodiment of words of God to sing. The grass is green where you water it. You can't do the things that water did. Your tired ways, why afraid? Who gon' solder it? With your loose connections. I got bars, I never lose connection. I'm raw, I never use protection. Guess the Matrix made a new projection. Real MCs, only a few to mention. My past, funny you should mention. You studied my past while I passed you. Now there's only pigs in your pasture. I done lived through disaster. Took a piss on your peacoat. Disregard the history you rewrote. Spigot, the dragon, steamboat. Inhale the fire, exhale the weed smoke. Locked it down, now the key broke. So when I speak, it's the keynote. The sound of money, that's a C note. S-K-I-Z-O, H to D-O. The game is to be sold, not be told.
I know you hate that they love me. I showed you things you can't unsee. I know you hate that they love me. Fix your face, cause God don't like ugly.